You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious
about business.
Serious about business.
They are best known for their bananas, but be it pineapples or coconuts, whichever fruit or food, just know it's 100% Jamaican. I'm talking about Jamaica producers through their brand St. Mary's. Hi, I'm Javon Keys and Business Access TV is here to bring you the launch of their Heritage Project, which is a national initiative geared towards improving the nutrition of students in schools. Stay tuned.
My name is Terry Carell and I am pleased to be your MC for a number of reasons. Number one, we will be having the JP St. Mary's Farm Tour, but more importantly, we will also be launching the Heritage Project. I'm not going to say too much about it except for the fact that we understand that there has been a crisis. We understand that children are going to school that are malnourished or are not choosing the right options, no fault of their own. And as much as there are feeding programs in schools, these feeding programs also need support. And so I'm so happy about the initiative that JP St. Mary's has decided to do called the Heritage Project. Number two, I am a St. Mary's baby. Not that I was born in the parish, but I eat St. Mary's banana chips all the time. The last time I hosted the launch, I wore a dress that was like banana chippy, plantain chippy. So when I heard that they were going to do the farm that has bananas and it also has pineapples, and then there's JP and then there's JP tropical food, I decided to come looking like a tropical banana. Did I do okay? All right. St. Mary's banana chips is the only chips that I buy. My household, my family, this is the only banana chips that we buy.
Every year, round about September, I typically do a trade visit with my team. Nelita White has done it many times with me. David Martin has done it many times. We choose a place and go deep, whether it's Coronation Market or Princess Street or the bus term parade, Halfway Tree. This year, we decided we would go to schools with a view to understanding the competition, understanding the pricing, the point of sale experience. We went to a very large, and I won't name it, primary school in Kingston. Had over 1,000 students. Walked through the canteen, looked at the competition, looked at what was available. And before I could leave the school, an administrator came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Mr. Hall, the principal would like to see you in her office." Now, as somebody, as you know, Aaron, who had his own days in school, that was something I take very seriously. And so we went quickly to the principal's office. And the principal said, "Mr. Hall, you need to know something. And I think everybody here should know this as well." She said, "You can give a student a uniform, you can give them books, a pen, a pencil, a paper, a school desk, a classroom, a teacher, but if you don't give them a breakfast, you've just wasted 100% of your money." And she said, "Mr. Hall, I need you to tell your board, Mr. Johnston, and your shareholders to do something about that." Well, it's a tall ask, and I figured, how do we find a win-win solution? But as I left the office that day, I heard the definitive answer, because lined up outside her office were 1,000 students. The promise of Jamaica, dressed up, poised, ready to take charge. And they were saying, and I realized upon hearing that there's got to be a win-win. And with that, we decided to push forward and announce for you today, with the full support of our board, shareholders and team, in answer to that pledge, the Heritage Project. That commitment, in honor of our 90th anniversary, is to make 1 million pounds of bananas in our 90th year, and we will carry it forward if it works. 1 million pounds of green bananas grown right here on this farm at the rock bottom price, all-time low of $5 Jamaican per pound to every public school in Jamaica. And our goals for this project are fivefold. We're calling it the Heritage Project. Firstly, the Heritage Project must not introduce any stigma in how meals are provided every day. Whether the student is on path, the program or not, we don't want any child in this country to feel shame when they need something healthy to eat. For us, there is no stigma in this project. It is not a handout. It is an investment available to everyone, for everyone. Secondly, the Heritage Project, Minister Tufton, as you have said, must create an opportunity to teach lifelong healthy eating skills and habits. The plan is to make green bananas form part of a delicious and healthy meals. We're working with chefs and food technologists to help kids develop a taste for fresh, nutritious food and to form healthy eating habits. Thirdly, we must protect our most vulnerable children against hunger. We know that when children are hungry, they're more likely to get sick, to recover slowly from illness. They don't catch up as easily from common childhood diseases, and their bodies can't grow to their fullest potential. Fourthly, we must bolster learning. We know the students who eat breakfast regularly have been found to have higher math grades. We know that 9 out of 10 teachers say that a healthy breakfast is key to academic achievement. We know that a healthy breakfast leads to a 17.5% increase in math students from students who consistently start their day with a healthy meal. Finally, and importantly, the Heritage Project must be widely available to every public school, and it must be known to be widely available. And we're not bringing any ego to this project. We're willing to partner with anyone who can help to make this a full success. Ladies and gentlemen, we at JP, we produce about 14 million pounds of bananas every year on this farm. And we know that we have the soil, the land, we have the sunshine to produce 7% more bananas and to make this happen. Because above all else, we have the people, and they're here today. A team of over 200 team members. And frankly, this is their gift. And we want you to see firsthand what they do so that you can thank them. And we can thank them together for what we're going to do on behalf of Jamaica. And this is why we've asked you to join us today.
This is the first of the harvest. This is a symbolic representation and handover for what the Heritage Project truly represents, where it will touch health, education, and of course the agricultural industry. Congratulations. Well done.
We're here at the launch of the Heritage Project for Jamaica Producers through its brand St. Mary's. We take our first break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're tuned into BATV's coverage of the launch of Jamaica Producers through its brand St. Mary's Heritage Project. We head back to the stage.
It's one thing to hear the call. It's another thing to actually act upon it. It's one thing to talk the talk. It is another thing to actually walk the walk. And the fact that the principal had that moment with him and he took it back to the board, and this is the manifestation, speaks to what JP is all about. So congratulations again.
Up in the hills where the streams are cool, and mullet and jamba swim in the pool. I have 10 acres of mountainside, and a dainty foot donkey that I ride. 4 grows Michelin, 4 Lacatan, some coconut trees and some hills of yam. And I pasture on that very same land, like she was and a big black ram. That's my God, and this big right hand is the property of a banana man. I leave my yard early morning time and set my foot to the mountain climb. I bend my back to the hot sun and my cutlass rings on the stony soil. Plowing, weeding, digging, planting, till Master Sun drop back to jump from mountain. Then home again in the cool evening time, perhaps whistling this little rhyme. Praise God, praise God, and this big right hand, I will live and die a banana man.
So we spoke about the Heritage Project having many tentacles in the health, the education, and as well as the agricultural sector. At this time, I'm going to invite the Honorable Floyd Green, State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, to kindly bring his greetings. Please make him welcome.
Well, I am very, very happy to be here. And I really want to start by first congratulating the JP Group. I think 90 years for any company is an exceptional feat. And I think we should give them a big, big round of applause. But I think the story is even more extraordinary when you think about the area in which JP has operated and the fact that they have gone through so many different challenges, from weather occurrences, devastations, to the farms, loss of traditional markets, but yet still you've been able not only to survive, but to thrive and to expand. And I think the JP story is really synonymous with the Jamaican story. It's a story of resilience. The reality is that I know you have a number of different calls, and you could have decided to do a number of different areas in terms of your social outreach. But I think you have seen and you have brought us here together because you are contributing to an area which touches on education, touches on health, touches on agriculture, but more importantly, which really will secure the heritage of Jamaica by making our children better. So if you know the history of our country, our last dispensation was that we had a school feeding program only 3 days out of the week. And what the research showed us was that on those 3 days, the attendance at school was higher, which shows a direct correlation between our children coming to school because they were now able to be fed. And that for us is a stark reality. And that is why as a government we had said we would put more resources behind the school feeding program. So last year we put an additional $2 billion into our school feeding program to bring up our total spend to $4.7 billion, to move from 3 days per week to finally move to 5 days per week, 1 meal a day for 5 days per week. We've gone a bit further because we polled our schools to see what was the difficulty in offering a school feeding program. And a number of them said we had challenges paying for our chefs. And as such, this year the government has taken on the responsibility to pay for all the chefs in our public schools. We now pay for over 1,000 chefs across our public schools. We also recognize that one of the challenges was the kitchen space. And as such, we have been on a 2-year drive to improve the kitchens of our schools. This year we're spending over $200 million to improve our kitchens across our public schools. So we have taken significant steps, but quite frankly, still not enough. I think all of us would not only want to provide 1 meal per day, but we would want to have a school feeding program that is able to provide breakfast and lunch. And the only way we can achieve that is through partnership. And that is why I truly applaud and welcome this move by JP. And I can tell you, I speak on behalf of the ministry, but also on behalf of the schools and on behalf of our children, that we welcome this move. And that this is a game-changing move to really strengthen our school feeding program. And there's another element that I think this project does. Not only will it allow us to expand the reach of our school feeding program, we have been grappling with for a long time as a country, how can we get more nutritious products into the hands of our children? So it's one thing to be able to provide lunch, but the other issue, which I'm sure Dr. Tufton will speak to, is what do you provide? Is what you are providing really helping the children in terms of their health, in terms of their nutrition? And the good thing with this project is that there's no question that putting green banana into our menus will provide a nutritious, healthy solution for our children. Plus, it will provide a product which is Jamaican. And we have been again grappling with how can we ensure that in our school feeding program, we're eating what we actually grow. So I think this is sending a wonderful message. So I will end where I started. We welcome, endorse, and applaud this move. We believe it is a game-changing move in relation to helping us as a ministry to expand our school feeding program. More importantly, we do believe that our children will be better off because of this project, which in essence will help them to eat better, learn better, and live better. Thank you.
Thank you so very much to Minister Floyd Green and, of course, to the ministry.
We'll be right back.
I will now invite Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, Mr. Jamaica Moves himself, to bring his greetings.
I must tell you, I feel like I'm on very familiar territory. And I certainly look forward to the tour because my time spent here at JP Farms has some precious memories, and it's always good to revisit those memories. Let me just begin by saying I think Jamaica Producers Group has gotten it right. This is a company that is 90 years old, which clearly has demonstrated longevity, and you don't do things wrong and last for 90 years. And that to my mind goes without question, without contradiction. And, you know, if I were to identify two of the very important factors that I believe contributes to that success over those 90 years, it would be, one, that this is a company that believes in investing in local capacity. And indeed, the local agricultural sector would not be where it is today if we didn't have a Jamaica Producers and a long history of investment in local capacity. Very importantly also, this is an entity that doesn't just respond to what the market wants, but a company based on its philosophy believes in doing the right thing for the consumer. And there's a difference, because sometimes what the market wants is not always what is the right thing for the consumer. And I'm speaking here purely from a health and wellness perspective. And so I want to use the opportunity to just say commendations, recognition to Jamaica Producers Group on this 90 years of existence. I believe you will go on to survive and to sustain yourselves as you serve the people of Jamaica and outside of Jamaica. And in regards to the Heritage Project, I believe again I can say that you have gotten it right in the concept and in what you aim to deliver in this project. We have the data as it relates to our school population, our younger age cohort. And that data is manifested in our global school health survey, a recent one being published earlier this year, which says that obesity levels within our school population has doubled over the last 7 years. The last two surveys that we have done, which are 7 years apart, shows an increase, a 100% increase in obesity levels in males, in our boys, and almost 70% increase in our girls. This is very concerning to us, because if obesity levels in our schools increase by almost 100% every 7 years, then one can imagine where we will be over time in terms of premature illness, premature deaths, impact on productivity, impact on development, and I could go on and on. So the reality is that from a public health, from a health and wellness perspective, we have a duty, we have an obligation to respond to this challenge that we face among this younger age cohort, the future generation of our country. And part of that approach, and we've been discussing that with the Ministry of Education, been discussing it with the Minister of Agriculture, is to change the lifestyle and the behavior of our young people, starting on the school compounds, but also over time, hopefully develop a different approach even as they grow and mature into adulthood. And that change in lifestyle basically comprises two very important things. One, get them to improve and increase their physical activity. In the days when we were young, we used to run up and down and play all over the place. Today, children are stuck on the technology, the iPads, the phones, the computers, and they live a sedentary lifestyle. They are not as active as they used to be. So the physical activity component, and we're working on that with the Ministry of Education. But secondly, and perhaps even more importantly, and this is where the Heritage Project for us is a big win, nutrition. Now, Jeffrey spoke about hunger, and there is an element of that in the school system, as reflected by the principal whom he had discussions with. But a bigger problem in our school system is improper nutrition based on what the kids eat, whether at home, on the streets, and indeed on the school compound, based on what is available to them. And if we are to change that, we're going to have to do a couple of things. The Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health are working together to develop a nutrition policy, which early in the new year will become the policy to guide the options that are available to the students once they are on the compound, on the campuses of these institutions. And those options will include a variety, but very importantly, combined, should capture a more balanced diet in order to enhance the nutritional content of our young people. From that perspective, the Heritage Project fits very nicely, because for one, Jeffrey, you're promoting a product that is fresh as opposed to processed and stored. You're promoting a product that is nutritious and, frankly speaking, is familiar to all of us. All of us would have tasted and experienced the taste of green bananas. We're going to have to be creative, which you are working on in terms of your chefs and nutritionists in putting the product together in different formats. And I would encourage you to let the schools also be a part of that process, into some competition of sorts, because our children are quite creative. And each school has a home economic department. If they are sufficiently incentivized, even with recognition alone, I believe you'll see some amazing creative displays which ultimately can become mainstreamed in institutions. But all combined, what the Heritage Project will do is provide an affordable option in terms of the product that you're offering to tap into what is not a luxury but a necessity, the enhancing of the nutritional content for our young people to support the challenge, overcoming the challenges of obesity. So we look forward to that. We want to be a part of that in the Ministry of Health. We endorse this project as a result of that. And I don't want to say much, but Jeffrey and I and the team that is involved with the Jamaica Moves program are working together, having discussions, and in the new year, you will hear some finer details as it relates to the Heritage Project and Jamaica Moves in Schools, which we will launch come early January.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're tuned into BATV's coverage of the launch of Jamaica Producers through its brand St. Mary's Heritage Project.
I'm almost overwhelmed at the potential of this project. Not just for the project itself, but the inspiration that it can provide on a wider scale to include every small farmer in this country, which numbers almost 240,000 people. It's the largest single employment group in the country. Feeding our children, nutrition, with what we grow, is a prosperity plan. And indeed we need to. Because in the 1960s, there were two other countries that were pretty close to our level of growth. Singapore and Israel. Today, Singapore, that is the size of Hanover, one parish, their per capita income is 60,000 United States dollars per person. In Israel, that is surrounded by desert land, they have to extract salt water from the sea to irrigate agricultural land. And the level of agriculture there, Charlie tells me he's been there 3 times. And even at one time, I believe, had an Israeli citizen here working with you, bringing in that technology. Their per capita income in Israel today is 40,000 United States dollars. You know what ours is? Less than 6,000 United States dollars. So, moving from poverty to prosperity, with the vast acreages of arable, idle land that we have in this country, moving from poverty to prosperity must no longer be a slogan. It has to be a way of life. And we have a lot of catching up to do, and very fast. This has been an extraordinary week for me, outside of opening my clinic with Dr. Tufton. I met with a young man, a Jamaican, 35 years old, who is a nutritionist and has made it his mission to encourage and promote eating Jamaican food. His name is Peter Ivy. And he has formed a company called Mission Food Possible. You hear the name? Mission Food Possible. One of the things he showed me was a list of foods produced in Jamaica, including banana, pumpkin, sweet potato, right down the line. And guess what? The nutritional value of every one of them was better than the imported flour and the imported rice. Every one of them without exception. Then the second one we had this week was the launching at the Ministry of Agriculture, RADA offices, a tourism agri-linkages exchange program. It is a program that is designed to connect our farmers across the country with the value chain and food chain going into the tourism industry. Because far too much of the food our tourists are eating are literally flying in on the planes with them, while we have idle lands and idle hands. Then, the final project I want to mention to you, which is very much, this launch today can be seen as the hub and the beginning of that process. An ambitious plan that we have to feed all our children in schools. Feed them. Right now, 80% of what our children eat is imported. Can you imagine that? And a lot of it is basically flour, rice, and bag juice. You know what I'm talking about. Sugar and water. That's it. Flour, rice, sugar, and water. Unacceptable is what my 9-year-old daughter would say. Unacceptable. When Jamaica, that is far more blessed with rainfall and land, arable land, than Israel, where they have mango orchards in Israel, why aren't we having a whole heap of mango orchards in Jamaica? And instead of our children drinking bag juice, them drink mango juice. Or mango nectar, whatever. Why don't we have more citrus groves planted? Lots of questions we have to answer. And because of the position that I'm in, I have to face those questions frontally. $5 a pound for banana, which is more nutritious than imported flour. The market price for the bananas is $25 a pound. And we're getting it for our schools from JP for $5 a pound. Minister of Education, please advise your minister, and you and him agree, to send a message to all schools that this is not optional. This is not an option. They must embrace this opportunity for our children.
So we've heard from the speakers at the official launch of the Heritage Project by Jamaica Producers through its brand St. Mary's. Now it's time to head to the farm. Let's go. Tell us, Ms. Goldburn, how did this idea come about?
Well, as you know, Jamaica Producers has been in the farming business for 89 years. In April next year, we actually celebrate our 90th anniversary. And so we wanted a project that would make an impact, a project that was bold. Every year we actually go to the different channels that we serve and we take a look and we look at what's happening. And so this year we decided to actually visit some of the schools. And so as early as September this year, we went into a few schools and we took a look and we wanted to understand what was happening. And we really saw that there was a need for us to create a program where every child must be fed. And so we sat down, we conceptualized, and we thought, we're in the business of farming. It is our core business that we do. In celebration of 90 years, why not make bananas available to every single child in Jamaica?
And certainly an idea that I'm sure will take on. But how has the support from schools been so far? Have schools expressed interest in being a part of the program so far?
Well, today is actually the launch of the project, meaning that we have already gotten our partners on board. We have the support of the Ministry of Education, we have the support of the Ministry of Health, and of course we couldn't do this without the Ministry of Agriculture. And so all three ministers were actually here today in support of the project. We actually began this project in January 2019, and that's when we'll actually do our first deliveries for this project. What we've been doing now is really going out, calling these schools, and I mean, we have over 20 schools that have expressed interest, that have already signed on to the project. And I think this is really phenomenal because we are now looking to corporate entities to say that we will partner with you. We don't have a problem partnering with any corporate entity. And so we're asking any corporate entity, you can sponsor a school of your choice. You know, call us, we'll have a conversation, tell us who you want to sponsor. And even if you want to give $1,000 for the week at $5 per pound, that's more than enough to take care of the children within the school for that week. We have started this project we're looking at it as a one-year project because it's our 90th anniversary, but based on the feedback that we've gotten, we're definitely looking to extend it past the one-year mark.
And are there considerations to also add some of your other stuff like the pineapples and the coconuts?
Well, we will look at what we can add, but for now we're actually focused on green bananas. One of the things that so today we spoke heavily about schools and being able to provide them with the food, but we're also looking to add healthcare onto this and also register charities. So that's the long-term view of the project. In the next couple of months, I want to say later on into 2019, we'll be able to offer this product to healthcare institutions, hospitals, registered charities. So we're talking about Food for the Poor, Father Who Long. You know, they can come in and they can actually sign up, and at $5 per pound, I think the entire Jamaica can be fed.
Certainly, and it's going to, I'm sure, be a big help to many of these persons. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So we know that there are many diseases which may impact the banana plant. Tell us about some of those here in Jamaica.
Well, the main disease here is sigatoka. It's a disease burn the leaves. If you are able to see in the tips of the leaf, you will see some burn. That is the disease. We are implemented a new practice. This practice was developed some years ago in Africa, and only in Honduras, in my country, they established that practice, and we are doing here. And is eliminate the underleaves. The analysis was this: is when you understand the physiology of the crop, is the youngest leaves are the leaves participate in the photosynthesis, are the more important leaves for produce food. The underleaves receive shade of the top leaves. That means the underleaves are not really important for produce banana, but the disease is different. The sigatoka grow first in the underleaves. What we do is we train the workers for count the leaves and eliminate the underleaves.
So how successful has that strategy been so far in eliminating?
We only have established that practice in this farm. And you can see, you are harvesting with 5-6 leaves. It's really great. The wonderful thing of the banana is provide work every day. We work 5-6 days in a week doing the different activities like the cultivation activities, or what we are seeing here, the harvesting activities. Okay, for hurricanes, we have for not a hurricane, but normal winds, we have the aerial cable. You see that structure? We tie the banana to that structure. And the second is the more important for the banana is the excess of water. That's the reason we have drainage structures and we have irrigation for the drought. That means we need to set a farm grow and can produce banana in the drought and in the rainy period.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. Our Minister Green, tell us how important is this program in helping to bolster the projects that are already being implemented by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information in schools?
It is critical. I think it's a game-changing move. For a very long time as a country, we've been trying to see how can we expand our school feeding program. We've been inviting private sector to come on board and to partner with the government. We have already, over the last 2 years, increased our school feeding program by $2 billion so that we can move to providing meals for our children at least 5 days per week. But we want to do more, and we understand that in order to do more, we need significant innovative partnership. I think this really is a check in all of those areas. One, it provides us an opportunity by the pricing of the bananas to get an affordable option into our schools. So that's a big plus for us. Clearly, with affordable option, it means you can expand what you offer and you can also reach more children, which is really what we want to do. But more importantly, I think it sends a great signal that we can find ways to use our local grown produce in our school feeding program in a way that ensures that we have more nutritious meals and that we have just a better program overall. So for us, it's a positive step, and it's great that it's being really driven by the private sector. I think it will inspire other members of the private sector to look and see how they can creatively come up with ways to help the school feeding program. You know, it doesn't have to be actual money resources into our school to help the program, but things like this. And clearly, I think even this project, the fact that JP is making these bananas available, now other private entities can look on and say they may want to provide the bananas using this for the school. And I think that would go a far way in helping us.
So this is a huge step, yes, but one of the very important things is the education of the students about the importance of having healthy nutrition. What are some of the steps that the ministry is looking at to ensure that it's not just about telling them to eat, but letting them know exactly why they should eat healthy?
You know, over the last few years, we have really taken a strategic approach in relation to engaging our canteens, engaging our chefs. Each summer we now bring them together to look at more nutritious items that they can provide. We've also been bringing them together to look at how they can incorporate our locally grown food items into what they provide, because oftentimes, you know, if they're able to use like a banana, like a potato in a creative way, then it breaks down some of the barriers in terms of continuing with the same that normally is provided to our children. We've seen a great take-up on that. Clearly, one of the I would say the stumbling blocks is price point, right? In a school feeding program, you want to treat it as much children as possible. So as such, oftentimes you're looking at the cheapest option. The cheapest option may not necessarily be the most nutritious option. So clearly, as a ministry, what we're trying to do is to engage our private sector. How can we align the most nutritious option at a price point that will make it affordable for us to really provide it to our children? I think that is what JP has done. They've been able to align a nutritious option with a price point that's affordable that now can be engaged through our schools.
All right, could you tell us how the schools will be selected for this program? Is it that they express interest?
You know, the beauty is that it's an open offer. It's an open offer to all public schools, and I think we should make the point. In all public schools, not just at the primary and secondary level, even our early childhood institutions, right? So it's an open offer that any public institution can get the bananas at this point. So that is the beauty of the offer. I think what we have to do now as a ministry, working with our partner at JP, is see how we can ensure we set up distribution channels to make it even easier for them to access it. So the offer is there. I know a lot of the schools say, how can we now get it into our schools? And if we can cut transportation costs, if we can cut distribution costs so that it's not an addition, then clearly I think the take-up will be even greater. So we've already started the discussions, and we're going to continue discussions how as a ministry now we can get these bananas into our schools.
All right, Mr. Hall, so for clarity, tell us, the program is worth $50 million, or will the schools be receiving, overall, you'll be giving to schools $50 million? Explain to us.
So it's worth $50 million. Now, to tell you the truth, in this country, like any country, food is a currency in itself, okay? So $50 million is the difference between the price that you'd buy it in the market and the price that we're going to make it available to students in public schools.
And how does that compare to market value?
It's about 20% of the market value, about an 80% discount on market prices.
Whoa, but with that great reduction, there must be some consideration for your bottom line. How will that be affected?
Okay, so for us, first of all, this is part of what we believe in. We've been in agriculture for 90 years in Jamaica, and we're absolutely convinced that in order to make Jamaica fulfill its overall promise for our overall network of businesses, we need a strong education system. So that alone gives us a return. JP is well invested in Jamaica. This isn't our only business. That's number one. Number two is we produce 14 million pounds of bananas every year. So 1 million pounds sounds like a lot of bananas, but it's about a 7% increase relative to what we do now. We are implementing a series of technological enhancements that improve our yield, that improve our productivity. We know we have the land to do it, so we're confident that barring an adverse weather event, a catastrophe like a hurricane, that the farm can add value. So we believe we can deliver.
Well, from a health and wellness perspective, we are very concerned about obesity levels in our schools. In fact, the last global school health survey suggests that the obesity levels are doubling every 7 years, which means that our children are more susceptible to illnesses, which clearly will affect their development, their growth, their learning capacity, and ultimately premature illnesses and death. So for us from the health ministry, we have to respond. And part of that response is the introduction of Jamaica Moves in schools, which has a physical activity component, but also a nutrition component. That nutrition component is going to be guided by the school's nutrition policy that we're developing with the Ministry of Education. And a big part of that is how do we get our kids to eat more local, more fresh, more balanced diet. And the Heritage Project by Jamaica Producers certainly has introduced a fruit, the banana, that will certainly tie very nicely into that program. So we endorse and support the program because it is in keeping with what we need to promote as part of the overall health and wellness of our kids.
But speaking about the existing program, tell us a little bit about the challenges that have been faced to implement the program and how this initiative also helps to somewhat mitigate against some of those issues.
Right. So in terms of nutrition, one of the challenges that you will face quickly is what is available to be able to provide a fresher, healthier alternative. This program clearly makes the fruit, banana, available. They have made a generous offer, so it's affordable, and that alone gives an option to canteen operators, to the schools, to be able now to have access, affordable access, and it's for them now to be creative in providing the menu and the recipes to make it attractive, and of course the nutrition is there. So I think just the availability of the product, oftentimes you hear canteen operators, schools complain about them only having access to certain foods. And what JP has done by manufacturing, packaging a specific offer that's affordable, it will certainly give the school the opportunity to access, and that's good.
In some schools, the canteens are operated by concessionaires. Is there anything in this new policy that will essentially mandate these institutions to put in place dietary considerations for the students?
So the nutrition policy that I spoke of earlier will in fact mandate via policy within the school environment those who are operating within that environment to offer a balanced diet and healthier options. Not suggesting that what they offer now won't be there, but it will have to also include healthier options. So children will have choices, and certainly we will encourage kids through on-campus promotion and advertising and of course public education to look at those healthier options and to show the relationship between the options and their own health status. So yes, it may require adjustments with what is now on offer by the operators on the compounds.
All right, Minister Shaw, so tell us, this program being put in place by JP, how does it add to the mandate of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries?
Well, I think it's a source of tremendous inspiration. And this is something I'd love to see every farmer who wants to get into bananas should come and look at the model that is here. Because it's obvious that they appropriate a lot of technology in how they manage the trees to achieve maximum productivity per tree, right? And that is significant. In fact, some of the things they showed us here, like taking the buds off at a certain time and taking the smaller fruit off from the bottom so that you can allow the other fruit to get mature and get bigger. These are things that in a typical small farmer situation, the bunch of banana is just allowed to, grow. But obviously, what is being done here is to maximize the productivity per bunch. And they are showing to Jamaica and to other entrepreneurs what we can do. I have thousands of acres of land now to lease out to other farmers to do all kinds of things, including more bananas.
So, and on that note,
because one of the things we're doing now, we're not exporting fresh bananas anymore now. It's all processed here now and going away as banana chips and so on. But there are still other countries, like in South America, that are exporting bananas to the United States and Europe. So if we grow more bananas, we can get back into the fresh banana export business.
And that's it for our coverage of the launch of Jamaica Producers through its brand St. Mary's Heritage Project that will be feeding thousands of many young Jamaicans. I'm Javon Keys for Business Access TV, serious about business.